wheel with one hand, simply. The wheel turns easily. This is so easy. Alright, so I got this thing modified. I was able to cut off this tube. When you cut it off, it looks like you want to stay up about, let's see here, off this flange. It looks like, I can't read that. Let's see, right off this flange, it looks like 3/4 of an inch. Come on. I'm going to stay 3/4 of an inch off this flange. There's the 1 inch mark on top of the flange. And then I cut it 3/4. The reason is because it looks like the housing goes up inside of this flange. So this thing's actually pressed on. Oops. This guy's actually pressed on up here. So once you're done, cut this guy off, remove it. And then you got the inside. On the inside, there's this tube right here that just pulls off. And then I also, on this side, I was able to cut this U-joint. I basically cut this end off with my hacksaw over there, or bandsaw, and now I'm going to weld to this guy. That way I can remove this, and this will be the side that goes to my steering rack. This side goes to my steering wheel. All right, so I have the U-joint that comes off the rack into the original S4 intermediate shaft, and then I have this adapter that's going to adapt to the Prius rack, or the Prius power steering unit. So I don't want to just weld this straight on because it doesn't have the extra reinforcement that the normal ones had, because there was like a solid piece here and a solid piece here. So I cut this little piece of 1/8 inch stainless plate that I had. So I'm going to weld this on with 309 filler right here, and then I'm going to weld it like that. That way it has some more structural integrity, and it won't want to twist or bend at all. I don't think it would, especially if I mean, these are pretty beefy, but let's be extra sure since it is steering. All right, so I'm going to be tacking this plate to this bracket, and then we're going to be welding this sub-assembly onto the U-joint. So let's go. Time to have some fun. Let this cool a little bit, and then we'll be able to take a look and see how we did. All right, she is fully attached now. So this guy fits right to this stock rack, and then it's welded and adapted to this guy. I just need to put it in and basically weld that guy right there, which goes to the steering column, onto this end right here, just at the right length. And then I just need a bigger bracket so this thing doesn't spin, and that's it. All right, so if this is gonna fit like the old shaft, zoom out a little bit. Basically, this right here used to be attached to the end of this. So right where the bottom side of this flat plate is. So if I hold this up, this is exactly where it used to be. So I can line it up with this side and figure out where I need to cut it, because that will make it exactly the right length. And then I just need to weld this guy onto here, and then I'm done. All right, last step here is I need to weld this guy nice and flush onto here. And then we'll be ready to reinstall it, and then I can figure out where to make a bracket to keep this thing from rotating around. So I'm going to try and use my level over here and square it all up real nice, and then I beveled the edges so I can get some good penetration, and then we're going to weld it. All right, so this is what the final product looks like. She's done. I think I got it pretty straight, so. All right, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm gonna try and stick the now welded steering column, oops, up into the steering wheel, and then get it hooked onto the rack. Oh, let's see how this goes. See if I'm anywhere near doing this. Show you what I got going on here. Don't need two flashlights. So, zoom out a little bit. So I got this guy installed. So that fits great. This guy up here fits into the stock spot perfect. So what I'm gonna do as far as a mount goes, don't look at my wiring craziness, but you can see that flat plate that goes all the way across there. Yep. So that's gonna mount to the two lower bolts that mount the steering column. And then I'm gonna go off of this spot that's in red, and I'm gonna come down and then mount to these two spots here. And I'm gonna do another triangular piece right here. And then that's gonna work pretty good. You can see one of the bolts just barely. So I'll get some mounting holes. I'm gonna use a piece of angle iron though, because that'll have a lot more rigidity in that triangular shape. And I'll probably have to clearance it right there for that spot. But yeah, I think this is gonna work pretty nice. All right, so I got some angle iron from the store, cut it down. Now I just need to add some bolt holes based on, zoom out a little bit, under here. So I need to make some bolt holes. Turn my flashlight on here. So that this bolt here and this bolt over here screw into it. And then hopefully, oopsie, the flashlight still. Hopefully this guy will mount just like this. So I just need to mark this and cut some bolt holes. All right, so I got my holes drilled. Now I can see if basically they're gonna line up right. So I can kind of stick this guy. Oh, I got a screw here. Take these screws out. So I got some washers on there. So that one is gonna go there, like that. This one will go, oops, this one will go there like that. And then I'll mount them up. But I can't do that one-handed, so. All right, let's see if I can do this real quick. Yeah, everything fits. And now, this is gonna counteract the torque of the motor. Because obviously if I didn't have any way to counteract the torque of the motor when it went to provide the actual torque for turning the wheels, it would just want to spin around. So you got to mount that motor section solid. I'm going to use Heim joints with Heim joint ends, so that, and I'll just mount a bar or a Heim joint off of this guy, basically, and then have this come down to where the motor is. So I should probably throw the motor in, or the motor in real quick, and just make sure it clears. And She's in. All right. Just had her in the wrong spot. All right. So one of the things you want to pay attention to when you're putting this U-joint in is like, that's how much space you want to leave. If you have this U-joint touching this bearing housing, it's in too far and that bolt's not going to go in. So you need, like, it looks like that, basically. That's how much space you want. So that's what. All right, so I'm going to try and get a video. Obviously, so watch when I push this up into position. So see how the clutch pedal is moving just ever so slightly. So I'm gonna get a shot of what exactly it's hitting here. Gotta love all these freaking wires. So let me get this guy up in here. I'm gonna see what's going on here. Hopefully I can see what's going on. Alright, so based on the video and the wear that you see up here, you can see how it's all shiny and worn away. It looks like the housing's hitting on this boss. So I'm going to machine this boss down and hopefully add some clearance. Alright, so after the modification, you can see the bosses, whoops, come on baby, are now removed. Well, at least massaged away. So there's a lot more room. So it's definitely hitting on the outside out here. So I think there should be enough clearance now. All right, I'm waiting on Amazon to drop off my Heim joints, but as you can see, I got this thing pretty much installed. I clearanced that. Let me see if you can see back here. I clearanced the side of the motor. Where is it? Is it over here? Yeah. So it was hitting my clutch pedal up here. I can't see what you're saying, so hopefully this is right. But this guy was hitting up here, basically. So I clearanced the back of it. Plenty of clearance now. So you definitely need to grind those bushings off if you mount it like I have it. Which you really don't have many options, so you pretty much have to mount it like I mount it. And plenty of room back here. So honestly, this thing fits awesome. So what I'm planning on doing is I got my bar mounted right here. And I'm literally just gonna put a Heim joint from, I'm gonna extend a bolt through here longer so that it sticks out to like here. And then I'm gonna put a Heim joint from here to right here, and that should keep this thing from wanting to twist at all. And that's literally all we have to do. We just have to keep it from rotating. So all right, so the linkage ended up being kind of short, so I had to basically weld the stud into the one since I couldn't fit two nuts, and then the other other Heim joint will lock in place with the nut. So give me the same result, just I wasn't expecting to weld anything. Should work though. And then, so basically, this guy goes on here. Let's see here. He's got to be about 90 degrees out of phase here. So one's right here. One goes up here. Just maybe in the back would probably be better. Yeah, let's put it in the back. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to end up looking like. Just like that. Perfect. Let's see if we can get a better shot of that for you. Yep. So it's gonna end up looking like that. So I just need to mark and drill a hole, put a bolt through, and I think we're in business. All right, so this is how my custom bracket turned out. So I just tacked on the head, and then I just have a bolt, and the nut's helpful to kind of push the Heim joint out a little bit, so that it doesn't bind against this side of the plate. So this is real simple, just literally it bolts up there, just like this. And then yeah, you just attach the Heim, get the nut on, and then we'll just attach that to the outside of the electric motor, and it should be locked in place. All right, it's fully installed. I got the Heim joint in right here. Everything's tight. I just need to hook up these. I just want to put some strain relief right here for the wires. So I'll hook that up. These guys just plug into the control box right here. There ended up being plenty of room. So really happy with that. This thing's up out of the way. It's not hitting the clutch pedal at all. Yeah, honestly, this thing turned out awesome. It's really compact. It's gonna sit under the original kick panel perfectly. So all in all, this looks like a really good install. So now we just need to run these wires over here to my battery, which is in the trunk, so that should be pretty easy. And then we're ready to do a little test drive. All right, so I got this control box wired up. I got my 8-gauge wire, which is the same as the factory wire. I got these 8-gauge wire splices off Amazon with some built-in heat shrink. Got them crimped, and this is the power wire, this black one right here. So I have the other wires taped to this. This is the only wire that's connected, that has electrical connection, but I have the rest of the wires taped as a strain relief because I imagine this would pull out pretty easily. And then this will end up going to my X75 post, and then these two will go to my battery. And then I also have an inline fuse. I think it's a 65 amp fuse or inline relay that will go on the power wire, in between the power wire and the battery. All right, so basically what I found under here is this awesome little slot where you can basically shove, kind of fits perfect, and you can basically shove this thing up in here, and it's already pretty tight because it's sitting on top of this bracket, and then it's kind of wedged in there. And then I just zip tied it 2 times around here, and then 1 time from here all the way around this bracket up here. And I wrapped the top of it in just blue masking tape just to make sure it doesn't rattle. But it looks pretty secure. I think that's gonna work. First test of the electric power steering column. Let's see. Oh, that's so nice. Yep, barely takes any effort. Cool. All right, I just want to take a little final interior video with the Prius electric steering column installed. I want to show the voltage drop when I'm actually turning the steering wheel. So the engine's off and the voltage gauge right there is reading around 12 volts, a little over. So when I turn the wheel, so again, this is flat ground, engine off, and the needle's not even moving. So this thing barely draws any current. I imagine it would draw some current at full lock, but how often are we at full lock? So works great.